Ellis Cinema back, another dish. How we doing out there? Good, great, grand, and wonderful. As you see on your dial, you see two titles. Never been done on the Ellis Cinema podcast before. Two titles. You see The Blood Bond and Shadowguard. Doing a little something different today. Double duty. I don't do it very often on the show, and very rarely, most of the time, we're talking about adaptations. Well, this is a little unique in we'll be talking about the story that came before the film and then the novel that came after the film. Stay with me, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with me. But predominantly we're going to be talking about the novel because I really enjoyed both. But I'm one of those cliche people. I think novels more often than not are better than the movie. And see Stephen King, prime example. So, The Blood Bond. You can get that actually at realeast.com right now. Real spelled R-E-E-L East.com, realeast.com. So what is The Blood Bond? Now I'm going to kind of mix and match the IMDb synopsis of Shadowguard which actually there's a lot of discrepancies in it, but a world-renowned spiritual leader arrives in the Asian nation of Burma, which I think is different in the book, to give a teaching to the faithful. Accompanying him is a retinue of monks and attendants, including his personal bodyguard, Diva, a beautiful woman with extraordinary physical prowess. As soon as the Karmapada and his party reach their hotel, they are attacked by assassins from a rebel terrorist group. Wounded, the Karmapada needs to go... I still want to see this in its entirety so bad. Needs to undergo a life-saving operation within 12 hours. See, we got a little 24-hour or a 24 TV show vibe. We got the clock ticking. However, his blood type is so rare that only a few donors can be found who can help the Karmapada in time, which leads Diva to the information about a possible seventh donor in a remote village in the north. And she decides to brave the dangerous journey alone into the woods which is controlled by guerrillas. Guerrillas coming out of the forest, which actually in the film really strong scene. There she finds the last possible donor whose blood can save the Karmapada, a drunken, embittered former Special Forces operative named John Tremaine, also different in the book, I believe, or originally was a different name. And so there our story begins. We have a woman that needs to get blood from, he's downtrodden, and we got to save the Karmapada. So I've been meaning to do this show for quite some time, but obviously fans of the show know we just keep cranking them out. I was actually going to take some time off in June. I have 17 shows already to do in June. And oh, by the way, I have a day job. So 17 is a lot of shows. But I wasn't gonna reschedule or miss the chance to do this one. So our guest has actually been on the show before. We did Fury, which was a strong action film with a mega talent, and he is the author of The Blood Bond. And for those that know me, I absolutely respect and admire this gentleman. In fact, I've definitely had a couple people, just in casual conversation. We get it, Sean. You love Bey Logan. We got it. So, ladies and gentlemen, joining us from Hong Kong, author of The Blood Bond, Bey Logan, ladies and gentlemen, second time on the show. Bey, I just love to have you on today, man.
It's a pleasure to be here. You're my second favorite, Sean, only because my youngest son shares your name. Otherwise, third after Connery. So, still not bad, right?
Well, I'm your second favorite living.
How many Sean's?
I'm your second favorite living.
There is that. Absolutely. And it's a real pleasure to come on. And it's a shame because of geography, and particularly the last year with COVID, that we haven't been able to meet up in person and hang out, or for you to visit us here at the Hidden Fortress in Hong Kong, which would be a blast. Yeah, but you mentioned Fury. I actually spent most of the year, or the latter part of the year, in Vietnam doing the second film in that series, which is called Furies with an S. So that will be coming out at Christmas time.
I cannot wait for that.
That's for another podcast.
Oh,
that's for another podcast.
Well, I'm already lining up. I'm already eyeing you for several because we had discussed Daughters of Han possibly at the end of the summer, which I want to do, which made me so happy that you said you were going to be putting that out on a print version. Look, Bey, I'm old, man. I need to turn pages. I don't.
Me too.
I just don't do.
I agree, and I think you're single-handedly driving my fiction career. Actually, I'm writing at the moment a new book called The Return of the Dragon, and was actually a script that I was working on, and it was going to be a vehicle for a dear friend of mine called Max Raposi, who is an Italian, very bright young Italian martial arts actor, and sadly just a few months ago he passed away at a very young age, and so I couldn't bring myself to think about ever doing this movie as a movie. But I thought what I'd do is I'd turn it into a book and then sell the book and give any revenues to his family. So I am actually slowly continuing my career as a fiction writer. But it's very nice of you to support me as you have, and I'll definitely send you the galleys of the Return of the Dragon. It's a comedy action book, something maybe more in the veins of Kung Fu Hustle. So let me know what you think.
I'll definitely purchase it. Here on the show, we don't take no free stuff. We got to work for it. We gotta work for it, Bey. But I get a lot of people that are just like, hey, review this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, no, man, I'll pre-order it, and because I think especially now we can agree that to an extent, with a lot of the younger crowd, I feel like we're kind of drifting into a very disposable market in terms of media, whether it's a movie or a book, and it's just kind of like, I think there's the books are kind of like in a dangerous place. I mean, potentially they were, because film went from like video cassette to laserdisc to VCDs to DVDs to Blu-ray, but basically people kept watching them. The trouble with books is there was this feeling of like, well, they're now going to go on to e-readers. And what happened was, because no one's really into e-reading, people stopped reading books. So I think that was, but apparently book sales are now print books are on the rise now, which is good news. But I think that unlike was the case with music and with film, if you said to everybody, now we're only making the move into doing, e-readers, that might be the end of reading. Yeah, well, it's just not. It doesn't feel the same, like we had meant. Like there, and I know it sounds so strange to the younger crowd that's listening, but I don't know. I put my phone in the other room, and I like to feel the page as I turn. I know that that makes us old fuddy-duddies, but like
totally.
It just that's how
well, I mean, the thing is, people would just be. I would watch films on all the different media, and I still listen to music. I have an LP record player, but I would listen to it on digital form as well. But I think that the danger with the book thing was, even for me, if that's the only option, maybe I'm not going to be. I'll just look at YouTube for like 12 hours, right? I'm not going to sit and read. But thankfully, I buy a lot of books from different sources.
That's what they do. Like, I was talking to somebody, this can't even be a week ago, and I was like, hey, man, did you check out that movie I recommended? Man, I got down a YouTube loop, which like I said, it makes me feel like a fossil because, like, I'm young enough to know, when the internet hit, and I'm old enough to be able to navigate it. It never occurs to me to go down a YouTube loop. I want, I need something more definitive, and that's not to say that those mediums, shouldn't be respected or anything like that. I guess, if anything, you could say that I'm not evolving because I just prefer to watch something with a 2-hour runtime, or I prefer to make it to the end of a 300-page book. It feels different to me. So, but obviously, that's just not where we're trending. And there's a lot of good and bad in that. The good thing is I think.
I think the internet has been kind of the birth of mass information, but the death of knowledge, because everybody can get any kind of information they want from anywhere. But like the discipline necessary to kind of disseminate that and to kind of like crystallize it into something meaningful is being lost, because as you say, people are just going on a loop of looking at visual hits again and again and again. And I don't know, I've definitely used the internet, but then, you know, when I was writing my book on Bruce Lee, which was 700 pages, and I'm writing my book on Jackie Chan, which is like 1,000 pages, it's definitely a great tool towards doing something creative. But then I also think it can be a tool to just waste half your day.
Absolutely, like that. So I probably, because I have an addictive personality or whatever you want to call it, but
Yeah.
like I find myself, so the loops that I get, it's always cinema related, you know, but it's always articles that I read, you know, like one article leads to another article. But it's gotten to the point where, you know, like I said, with the amount of shows that I have coming up, I can't afford to even waste a moment on my phone. So actually what I went out and did was, starting in June, I am relinquishing all control of Ellis Cinema on social media to someone else so they can do it, because I don't know how much longer, at least my personal presence is going to be on the internet, just because I've come to the conclusion that there's so many more things that I could be doing, as opposed to, well, you got to interact with this person so that, you know, it looks good if you ask them down the line to be on the show. Like, you know, the benefits of social media. I actually, Bey, and I'm going to say both these names wrong, which I'm going to use you to correct me so that on the day I don't sound like a fool. But I actually have Philip Ng. I think that's how you say it, Philip Ng.
Yeah.
Andy,
That's how you say it. More like MM.
Oh, Philip That we got like that, Philip And how about Andy On?
Yeah.
Andy On, is that how you say that?
Andy on.
So
on
just
get,
on,
Andy
is in
on.
like on and off.
You got them talking about Undercover Fist and Gun.
Yes. And Van Ness.
That'll be a blast.
Yeah, I have them for.
On Vanessa as well.
Yes, yeah, Van Ness as well.
I did a movie. Let me say, I did a movie with all three of them actually, Dragon Squad, where actually originally the lead guy was meant to be Andy, and it would have been better because it was a better part for Andy. That's not taking away from Vanessa, who's a lovely guy and did his best. But that was with Andy was meant to be the lead, but he couldn't get time off from his Johnny Tone movie, so he played a cameo. Vanessa had the lead, and Philip played one of the bad guys. And one of the main bad guys on that movie was Michael Biehn, who starred in and directed The Blood Bond. You see what I did there?
Yes. That's why, you know, I don't know if you could tell, but during that opening, I have a lot of nerves when I talk to you. I don't get it. I don't have this problem. I don't have this problem with anybody else. Coming to talk to you, I listened to our show, the first one we did early last year. And, you know, I just don't think, until we meet in person, I don't think I'm going to be comfortable, just because of how much I respect you.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I'll leave all the perfect segues to you. And in fact, you know,
okay. So let's talk about, would you like to talk about the genesis of the Blood Bond?
Absolutely, I would.
Okay. So basically, I had relocated to Hong Kong with the ambition of making films. And I don't think anything's changed. I mean, if you got the ambition to make movies, it's a bit like Orson Welles said, like a cherry picker goes where there are cherries. So if you want to make films, you look for other filmmakers, you look for a financing, you look for